Welcome to Hollywood.
Hey, I'm Five, and today we're going to be looking at how we can use our ult to get techs like bounce and double boop out in ways that we wouldn't normally be able to use them. I've come to Hollywood for the nice flat stretch it gives me, and you can see that if I time my ult correctly, I can bounce off players when usually I'll be booping them away. I think this happens because the game doesn't let you have the fireball status and deploying mine status at the same time. So whenever we use mines, there's this brief period where we don't have fireball active, but we're still going at fireball speeds. To bounce on a player through using your ultimate, you just have to use a normal bounce routine I went through in my bounce video, but with your ult usage thrown in just before you jump so that you jump while you're in a deploying mines animation. Like props in the game, each player model has its own kind of quirks for bouncing off, but I definitely find that smaller models tend to be the hardest to bounce on, and the larger models are the most forgiving. I'm only using Thor's workshop mode for placing dummy bots, but if you want the exact setup I've got in the video, you can get that with TEDGJ. I'll link Thor's workshop mode and my bounce guide in the description, but I think the easiest way to pull this tech off is by focusing on the sequence of actions that you're trying to do. We need a nice long grapple to get fireball going into the player, we need to deploy our ult before reaching the player and jump as we're touching them, but still while we're deploying mines, and that should send us flying upwards. So what does all this have to do with double booping people? Well, you might actually find yourself double booping people by accident practicing this tech, because if we just swap the order of our jump and ult button around, then we go from a ult bounce tech to an ult boop tech where we're going to boot the player a second time, because the instance of fireball that comes back after we've gone through our deploying mines animation seems to be treated differently in a way that gives us another chance to boop a player. The one condition to this is that you have to be airborne as you deploy mines. You shouldn't have too much trouble getting one of these techs to happen, but pulling off the specific tech you want every time is going to take some getting used to and a lot of practice. This is something I struggle a lot with still myself, and it's something I definitely want to work on. One thing you can take away from this video that might make these techs easier is that holding W down the whole time for both of these techs is completely okay. So if you're not managing either of them, definitely check that you've got that W key held down and that you're not taking your finger off it as you're pressing your ultimate button.